Joe Mantegna is back here on the program. We saw a clip of Criminal Minds Evolution. Season 18 premieres today, man. It's 18 seasons,
I know. My hair was black when I started on this. It's unbelievable.
Episode 2, you've 295 episodes or something.
I think more. I think I've done. Really? I think I'm up to. I think I'm at 300 myself.
You personally are.
Me personally, I think I'm at 300. I think the show's going to up at like 350. We're going to be maybe with the new season because we're going to be shooting season 19. So.
Somebody told you at the very outset this is going to happen. What would you say?
I would have said thank you. I said yes, because you don't know. You know, it's always a crapshoot. You go into these things, and I did it when I accepted the job. My feeling was, I saw a few episodes because I came in season 3. Mm-hmm. I thought, okay, some shows can go 4 or 5 years. Maybe could do this for a couple of years. This would be nice. I love the people I met and everything, and I had a little input on the character.
Sure.
And I was so glad I had the advice given to me years ago by Don Belisario when I did my first series, which was called First Monday, thing about the Supreme Court I did with James Garner. He had told me at the time, he said, look, in terms of your character, you might want to pick something that's close to who you are. Because if you do a show that's got legs and it's going to go for a while, you're going to find out, if you make him too weird or obtuse or something you can't relate to, you're going to have to draw on stuff you don't know about. If you can draw on who you are a lot, you can, and so I did. I said, all right, I'm going to make this guy Italian-American, let's give that a shot. Thank God. I mean, I'm able to insert a lot, I think, who Joe Mantegna is part of David Ross.
Hey, man, and now here you are, again, 18 seasons into this. I got to ask, though, you got a good James Garner story? Anytime I hear his name invoked on this program, Joe McCraney told an incredible story about how he made him feel comfortable on an episode of the Rockford Files once when he was a young actor starting out.
Well, he was great. I mean, he's the reason I took the job. I really did. Because my career was going well. I was doing movies for the most part, but I was getting to a point in my career. My 2 daughters were getting older. The family was traveling with me less when I go on locations. And I thought, you know what? I really want to go home at night more. And I said, and if and all of a sudden, and CBS at the time had kept, offering me some shows. So finally they said, well, there's this show. Garner's going to do it. He doesn't want to be one on the call sheet, though. He wants to be number 2 because he just wants to not be in it all the time.
Sure.
You'd be the lead guy. Don Belisario's producing, and I read the script, and I said, you know what? I'm in. Let's go. Because I said, to work with James Garner, it's worth it just for that.
Right.
And we wound up doing like 12, 13 episodes, and that we were in and out. That was that. But the experience was tremendous, and to work with him, old school. I mean,
he probably didn't want to be number 1 on the call sheet because he wanted to get to Bel Air to peg it up.
Exactly right. Yeah, he wanted to be and not work every day and maybe be out by 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Did you ever play golf with him? Did you ever play?
You know what? It's funny. After we wrapped.
Yeah.
He had set up a thing that we can actually go, and as it turned out, I had to leave town on the day that the one time he had to do it, and I kept saying, we'll have to make up for it and do it another time. Of course, that never came. He passed away not too long after that.
Well, I've told this story on the show before. I'll tell it here too. Is that my wife? We probably met in our green room. She's going to come out here shortly and have a fun segment here. But at any rate, she hooked me up with a round at Bel Air Country Club because she was out here covering the Lakers and the Angels and knew a ton of people in this town. And I flew in to hang out, and it was the first time I ever played at Bel Air.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, which celebrity might I see? Off the first tee, I sliced one so badly because I was so nervous. Plus, I'm terrible. But anyway, long story short is it winds up right in the middle of the 18th fairway. And as soon as I'm standing over my shot, zipping up on a golf cart was Mac Davis behind the wheel and James Garner sitting in the passenger seat with a golf ball in between his thumb and his forefinger. And he looks at me, he goes, is this your ball? And I'm like, no, this is my ball right here. Because he says, somebody's playing my effing ball. And he didn't say effing. And he just went zooming right off.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
It was like literally a drive-by of James Garner and Mac Davis. And he was pissed that somebody played the wrong ball.
Yeah.
Pissed off.
If you'd have known, you could have yelled, go Sooners, and that would have won you over.
Oh, he was an Oklahoma guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was such a fan. And my dad was actually born in Oklahoma.
Okay.
My grandparents came over from Sicily.
Yeah.
But had a farm there in Oklahoma, and that's where my dad was. So in his heart, he was always an Okie. And so when I told Garner that, it was like, that was it. That sealed the deal. I said, even as a kid, I'd watched Oklahoma college football.
Joe Mantegna here on the Rich Eisen Show in support of the premiere of the 18th season of Criminal Minds Evolution premieres today. Also, perfect timing for today. We were looking for someone from Chicago wearing red, since that is apparently the order of the day.
Yes.
And you serve that for us here because, there's somebody else wearing red from Chicago.
It's the purple color. Yeah, it's the cardinal from Chicago. And you know what? I've got this theory. I just heard that he's Leo the 14th.
Correct.
And that he was born in Chicago.
Correct.
So I'm driving on the way here. When I heard this, I said, Leo the 14th. He's from Chicago. Of course. And I heard he was a Cubs fan. Ernie Banks' number. Possible, right?
Is that what you think he chose?
I'm going to go with it until they prove me wrong.
Well, I bet you Leo is not for DeRocher.
No, it's not for that. But I mean, he might have just thought, I'm the Pope. I could pick who I want. 14, Ernie Banks. I'm a Cubs fan. The real Cub fans will get it. So even if not, God bless him. I'm thrilled. Yeah. I screamed when we heard. My wife and I both were screamed when we heard. He's from Chicago.
He's from Chicago.
He probably eats Italian beefs. I mean,
well, the Conclave played too, I guess, right? This is their second day, and then the white smoke comes out, and a guy from Chicago.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Fantastic.
I know.
Yeah, sounds great. So.
Are you psyched for what the Bears are cooking right now?
Joe, I'm always psyched for what the Bears are cooking, what the Cubs are cooking, what the Sox, the Blackhawks. But I temper my excitement because I've been around long enough that, why do that and then punish yourself later? You know what I mean? So, it all sounds good, but I'll just say the same thing even with the Cubs now. Yeah. People go, hey, see what they did yesterday? I said, no, you don't understand. It's only May. I said, I don't even pay attention till like late August, early September, maybe.
How are you watching a Bears game? Are you chill? Are you relaxed? Do you get a little animated? Or what is your...
With the Bears?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not as animated as I used to be. Let's put it that way, because I think I've learned my lesson. I was like, but 85 did so much for all of us that it was like...
Of course.
Same thing with the Cubs with 2016. It was like, okay, we got it. It's in the pocket. We have it. We can enjoy that.
Right.
Don't get crazy.
Yeah.
Because you may not get another shot in your lifetime. But we'll see.
Right. We will. Obviously, it's tough to call, but there is, good cause for optimism. There really is.
Yeah. No, I think so too. And I keep hearing, especially from the guys who are like, live and die for it, and like every second and I just can't. I have to go. Okay, all right. I'm with you.
You got a lot going on, though, Joe. This is season 18 of your show here.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And I can't expect to win on every front.
That's right.
So we'll see.
I think it's season 100 for the Bears or something like that, or season 102. So I've asked you this before, but we have a new audience here on the Roku channel since you've, I think, last appeared. The famous Swerski brothers sketch. Like, how was that presented to you? You were the host one night?
I was asked to host Saturday Night Live, and Robert Smigel, who was one of the writers at the time, had come up with this idea. Said, "Well, you're a Bears fan, right?" Of course. He said, "Well, I got this sketch. We want to do this thing. The Swerski brothers. You'll be Bob, and you'll talk about your brother who's not there because he had a heart attack," which all made sense. It was like, so I thought, well, hey, this would be fun. This would be great.
Right.
So we do the thing, and I'm thinking, great. The people in Chicago are going to probably love this, and that'll be that. But I think I had to go to Chicago about a few days later, as it turned out. And when I get there, that's all people were talking about. They said they were running that skit like 24 hours on the radio and this and that. And there were already billboards going up within months saying the Bears, the Bulls, the Cubs, the Paul University. They were putting "the" in front of everything that was Chicago that they could think of.
Yes.
And so, of course, then George Wendt then hosted it a couple of weeks later. And, of course, they made him my brother. And they would always ask me to come in whenever George would do it.
Yes.
But George had been off Cheers then and was like, for him, it was great. And he was living in Chicago, just fly to New York. I was working. I couldn't, jump on a plane and keep flying to New York. So he'd always say, yeah, my brother Bob's not here because he had another heart attack. And then finally I did one more because I happened to be free. And I think I was in New York. And I think it was Danny DeVito was hosting. So George and I both did it. And then we wound up doing a couple other things. They did a movie. They wrote a movie for it. And we were supposed to do the movie, but it was Chris Farley was so huge at the time, and they wanted to build it around his character.
Yes.
Chris passed away.
Oh,
And it was one of those things that was it. That kind of put the nix on doing the movie version of it. But the movie, we wound up doing a couple readings of it in Chicago for charity, and we had Ditka come in and actually do it with us. And in typical Ditka form, we did 2 performances. He did the first one. We took a dinner break. He went out to dinner with his wife and forgot there was a second one. And so didn't come back. But luckily, there was I forget what pitcher was. One of the pitchers for the White Sox came to the second one when we got him to do Ditka's part.
you got him to do Ditka's
Yeah, he came in
part.
because we're reading off scripts anyway.
Well, Hurricane, Ditka, right? Who wins more? Who wins the fight? A Hurricane or Ditka? I mean,
Yeah,
all of that.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
It's
the mini Ditka. Yeah, we got a mini Ditka. Mini Ditka. If the whole team was shrunk, maybe they'd only win by 35 points. But that kind of
you slip right back into it, right
oh yeah,
there.
oh yeah.
Oh my gosh! And Farley, sometimes he would just he would pound his chest like he was starting his heart up again, right? Because he was having a heart attack.
He was unbelievable. There was one skit we had because you always do more skits than you need. In other words, when you're rehearsing for Saturday Night Live, because they want to have plenty just in case something happens, and also just to keep you on so that they can make a last minute change before you go to airtime and say, well, we're going to cut this skit, and that one, or whatever. But he had this one skit where we were all like. It's almost like in Mississippi or something on a porch. We're all talking like this and smoking corncob pipes. And he did a thing where I forget what the even skit was, but he leaped off of the porch, like up in the air and landed on his stomach. I thought he's got to be dead. But that was Chris. No, he jumped up and was like, and I think that's probably why they cut that skit.
They cut it. It never made it.
We never aired it because I think they thought we can't have Chris do that because next time he might bust his head open.
We might actually do something like that.
But he was great.
So again, George Wendt was not in the first. You were in the first.
I was in the first. I was in the original one. And then George came in a few weeks later when he hosted the show, and they made him my brother. I think I was Bob Swerski. He was Bill Swerski, or vice versa. I can't even remember.
Well, so, I mean, is the skit, it's got to be over 30 years old now, right?
Well, I hosted it in 1991. It was January of 91. So that's how long.
That's how long. And it's still resonates. Like people still talk that way. People still say that about the Bears, and it's not like, I've heard that before. It actually works.
That's because the Bear fans still talk like that. And you can go over there, and they're going to, we had this restaurant, Taste Chicago, for 16 years in Burbank, my wife's restaurant. Mm-hmm. And so every Sunday we'd have the Bear fans come there, and it was just unbelievable, just as you can imagine. Then we saw the Super Bowl there. Of course, they lost that Super Bowl to Indiana, but anyway,
it's great stuff, man.
It was great stuff.
It is exactly that. I would love to see it done, one more time. I mean, Smigel can write it, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Mike Myers is coming back. He's playing Elon Musk every now and then, so he's clearly in the mix there.
I'm game.
Let's get you out there,
sure,
and then George Wendt out there.
Get George.
And let's do it again.
Fry up a couple Polish, that's all we got to do.
And now you can add Da Pope.
And Da Pope. We got Da Pope. Who's got Ernie Banks' number?
Who knew? I had no idea. Fantastic. So what do you want folks to know about season 18, Criminal Minds Evolution?
I think more the same. I mean, on we go. I mean, I think, first of all, now that we're streaming and we're on Paramount Plus, we're able to do things that we really couldn't do on the network.
Is that right?
And it's, like, first of all, there's no commercials. You're able, you can kind of, the time limit is a little looser. In other words, we don't have to worry about that. Certainly, they've loosened up the language. And, of course, with my character, Rossi, they figure, he'd be the guy that would do that. He'd be the guy that would talk like that. Mm-hmm. So they've got me saying stuff that, the Pope will not be talking like that.
On the Mammoth meter, though, what is it? On the Mammoth meter, 1 to 10, 1 being, the least, and 10 being, Glenn Ross on steroids. What would it be?
On Criminal Minds, you mean?
Your language.
My language on that show? Well, it's not going to...
On the Mammoth meter.
The Mammoth's like a 9+, and I've done those shows and those movies. Criminal Minds, we're probably right around a 6.5, 7.
I'll take it. That's
something like
blue.
that.
That's
because
blue.
we're not nailing it all the time, but they lean on me for a good amount of it. There's one episode, I think, where I tried to get Kirsten's character, Garcia, who's like, and she's going, she can't quite get the word out.
Fantastic. Yeah. I couldn't be happier for you again, and just the success of this show. It just keeps going and going.
Yeah,
and going.
No. I'm so glad. One other thing too, I'm trying to. My assistant, who's been with me for 24 years, Danny Ram, wrote this book called Long Branch, and we're trying to get that done as a possible TV series. Because the book is just tremendous. I did the audio version of it. And so anyway, I'm sure we brought you a signed copy of it.
Oh, fantastic.
I'd love you to read it at some time.
I would love to.
Because that's something that, I've got my day job, but I'm always looking for that other thing.
Okay.
And this is a terrific book, and we're hoping to do something. We're already getting some attention for it. So
okay, well that's great, and people can get that where all books are.
I think Amazon you go.
Yeah,
and
okay, fantastic.
like that, right?
Audible and all that.
Audible,
sort of stuff.
yeah.
Fantastic. It's all about the streaming world for us right now.
There
We're
you
streaming
go.
right now. My
There you
goodness.
go.
And then we'll get a chief for you next time that
There you go.
you're here.
And I'm still doing The Simpsons, still Fat Tony, but doing that for 34 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, you don't just do things one and done, man.
I guess not. It's I like these. I like the longevity
How did
stuff.
how did Fat Tony come about for you?
You know what? Godfather 3 had just opened. That was it opened at Christmas of 1990.
Yeah.
And that's why I hosted Saturday Night Live in January of '91 because that movie was out. It was the new Godfather movie. It was getting a lot of
My
attention.
goodness.
I was Joey Zaza, the villain.
Yes.
So right after that, in February, The Simpsons came to me, and The Simpsons had only been on 3. This was their 3rd season. I come in threes. I came into Criminal Minds in season 3. I came into that season 3. 3 is my lucky number. So they come to me, and I read the script, and I go, oh, this is funny. I didn't even know what The Simpsons I knew kind of what it was, but I thought, oh, this will be fun. I'll do this. I could get it. I'm playing a guy in Godfather. It makes sense. They would get me to play this character. But what I didn't want to do was use my own voice because that's the voice of Joey Zaza in Godfather 3, and the movie's playing. I'm thinking Coppola's going to lose his mind if all of a sudden there's this little cartoon. What? That's Joey Zaza. No. So I said, I'm going to use my Uncle Willie's voice unless they stop me. And my Uncle Willie talked like this, because he had a battle with throat cancer, but he beat it, and he talked like this. So I said, I'll do that for the character, and unless they stop me, I'll just keep doing it. Well, I did it for the whole episode, and I went, oh, I got through it. They liked it. Great. And I'm thinking, that's it, one and done. Well, a couple of weeks later, I get a call. Hey, we like that Fat Tony. You want to come do another one? That was 34 years ago. I've been keeping getting that call. You want to do a couple? I think they told me I've done the most guest shots of somebody who's not part of the,
And there have been some guest shots, man. There's for sure throughout that entire history.
Yeah.
You got a favorite Fat Tony line that jumps out at you that you're?
The one they seem to use a lot is, I don't get mad, I get stabby. So take that as you will. Being from Chicago, it kind of applies. I mean, that clip you showed from Criminal Minds, it seems like Rossi could have said that line. It was very similar.
I don't get mad.
I don't get mad, I get stabby. Yeah, that's it.
That's now a new drop. We'll play that every now and then. We'll figure out a way that we can use that line. Joe Mantegna, you're a prince. Thanks for coming down here. You're welcome here anytime. Love
my
having
pleasure.
you here,
I
man.
love coming here, my man.
Thank you.
It's great.
I really appreciate that. Joe Mantegna, everyone check out another season 18 of Criminal Minds Evolution that premieres today on Paramount Plus every Thursday. Catch it right here on the Roku portal. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.